Sometimes the fear isn't the thing closest to the problem. So I'll give an example of what I mean. And this is an exercise. I still use this exercise. And I say this, I hope everyone uses this, because this helps you get to root cause. Once you get to root cause, now you can start looking for solutions. So one day I was heading to an interview for a job, and I left in plenty of time. I get on the freeway and bumper to bumper traffic. Oh, goodness. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and I'm freaking out, right? And so you could say, well, why are you reacting like that, to traffic? Like maybe you're overreacting. But the traffic wasn't really the problem that I was responding to. And I'm going to walk you through the process. Why does it matter that the traffic is bumper to bumper? Well, because I'm going to be late. Well, why does that matter if you're late? Well, if I'm late, they're going to think poorly of me. Why does that matter? Well, if they think poorly of me, they're not going to hire me. Why does that matter? Well, if they don't hire me, I don't have any income. Why does that matter? Well, if I don't have any income, I don't have a place to live, I don't have food to eat, I can't take care of my family. Why does that matter? Well, then they lose respect for me, and it goes on and on. So what I'm responding to has nothing to do with the traffic directly. I'm having this, what might seem like an overreaction to something that's 7 layers deep, not the traffic. But in that moment, I don't realize that. I don't realize that in my subconscious mind, I've gone all the way down the field, and now I'm, homeless somewhere on the side of the road, living under a freeway because there's a bunch of traffic. And so if you just observed me from outside, you would say, oh, Nate is overreacting to the traffic. Like, why? It's not a big deal. Relax. But Nate's not responding to the traffic. He's responding to what he thinks that traffic means, which is a fear of loss of ultimately his ability to take care of his family. So the story is just to show that sometimes when we're working with people, what we think and what's real is below the surface. What you are witnessing is this guy road raging in traffic. But what you don't see, if you go under the surface, the real causal force was a fear of losing something. And so as leaders, and leaders of ourselves as well as others, sometimes it's a good habit for us to ask those questions of ourselves and others to get down to what's really bothering them. Then the question becomes, as a leader, is am I creating an environment that stokes this fear of loss, or that helps the person feel more confident and maybe less fearful, which now shifts leadership from command and control to more of stewardship and design. Oh, well, maybe if we do this instead of that, this person wouldn't feel this way. Oh, wow, that's great, because if they're not worried about this 7th layer going bad down here, which is what the real cause was, because now I know to ask better questions to get to the root. I go attack that root, and then all these other things that were manifesting themselves on the way up to the top, they just go away. But if your approach, if your orientation to leadership is to look at what's on top and respond or react to that, you never get there. And that's why we start with orientation as being the most critical piece for a leader.